All right, well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and recaps, reviews, commentary on some of our favorite TV shows or TV shows, because I don't know if this is one of my favorites. But this is all about the new show, Marry Me Now.
Ooh, child.
So if this is content that you enjoy, if you want to know how we feel about it, what have you, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the like, request notifications.
And share.
And of course, we will see you, hang out with you in the comments. All right. So like we said, this is a new show.
It's a new show. We're trying to figure it out where it fits.
Yeah. So the premise of the show is long-term couples. This one was 7.5 years.
Correct.
Where the woman, it looks like,
not look like she's proposing.
Right, but I'm just saying, I don't know if in the future it'll be the man who springs it on, but it seems like the entire premise is the woman is springing it on the man for them to get married, and not just will you marry me and it's a proposal, but will you marry me now? Let's go to the chapel now,
right,
and stand before a minister or whatever now,
right,
and get this done.
Because that's supposedly, I'm not going to say it's a new phenomenon, but in social media,
it's a trend that we're seeing a lot more.
Right. And there's been a lot of chatter, right? Mm-hmm. Should the women be proposing to a man? We're no longer traditional society. Mm-hmm. So I can see where they're coming up with the premises of this.
I get that.
But we see how this moves along in the story.
But it's the whole, I think, the now portion that is kind of the real.
Right.
That's what this show is kind of using as its hook.
Mm-hmm. And its shocker value.
Yeah. So we meet Brandon and Shayna. He's black. She's Asian. Mm-hmm. And they've been together for 7.5 years in Houston. She's like, oh, he's not just my boyfriend. He's a mentor. He's an advocate. So she loves him.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I'm assuming that's why they live together. They consider themselves a couple.
But they have not talked about marriage.
In 7.5 years.
In 7.5 years.
Hasn't brought it up. And...
a little foreshadowing there, just so you know.
And she is under the assumption that Brandon doesn't think she wants to get married.
Right. But again, they have not talked about it.
Or did she come say, you know what? I made sure he knew that I did want to get married.
So he thinks that they're on a home makeover show. Yeah.
And it's called
Man My Cave.
It was corny. Okay, first of all, let me help you producers out. If you're going to pretend there's another show, at least come up with a good name and make the logo and everything on the show legit, believable.
Right.
It looks so campy. The makeup show looks campy. So if we're going to go through with this, pay for the production for the makeup show along with the production of the real show.
That'd be like you coming to me saying, we're filming a show called Grass in My Yard.
Grass in My Yard.
I'd be like, because I'd be Googling, what are we talking about here? What is this? Man My Cave was the name of the show that they had this man. And he was excited about it. He was like, oh yeah. Because they showed part of it where she's got like this room with like boxes and boxes of shoes and clothes. And he's like, yeah, if we can get all this stuff out of here, if I can get like a TV and get recliner,
Right. And so, okay, that's telling. So there's little tellers as we go along.
Yep.
First, which we're calling it for right now, they are called red flags. Mm-hmm. First red flag, they never talked about marriage in 7.5 years being together. Yep. Second red flag, she thinks he's under the assumption she doesn't want to get married, and she doesn't mention. Even if she started out that way, and as they've been together, if her thought has changed, I should keep you up to speed, right? So there's a communication error.
Yep.
Or problem, communication.
Issue. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Third, he never spoke up in 7.5 years like, look, I need some space. You have a closet plus an extra room. I have no place to just relax as a man and call something myself.
Right.
So he doesn't speak up in the relationship.
Yep.
And he just goes with the flow of life. So that's another red flag.
Well, I mean, there's all while we're watching this, we're like, yeah, this is going to be
Six Flags.
It's going to be a train wreck.
It's all nations of flags.
So he's an engineer, and so she even recognizes he does not make impulsive decisions. She's asking this man to make a decision to marry. The name of the show is "Marry Me Now." That's an impulsive decision that she's asking him to make. But she says he doesn't make impulsive decisions. He's an engineer. He thinks things through. Yeah.
Very calculated.
So she meets with the aunts.
Of his family.
Right, with his aunts. And they're like, oh, they don't think he'll say no. They're happy because she's been around the family. She has her own issues with her own mom.
Right,
it seems like.
Right.
But she's been around the family. So it's not like they don't know who she is or what have you.
So always as women, we want to be supportive, right?
Right.
And when someone of your family brings someone around, you're like, I want to make you a part of the family.
Right.
So I think that every time they go into these episodes meeting the family, they think they're pregnant. I'm thinking that's my first thought. They're like waiting to hear like, y'all having a baby? Oh, you getting married? Oh, wow. Okay. And then realizing like, okay, but what about our family member? Does he really want to get married? Right. Is he really going to say yes?
Because if you notice, one aunt was more into it than the other aunt. The other aunt was like, yeah, awesome. Yay.
How that goes.
Yeah. So another red flag for me was that, as I mentioned, Shayna had issues with her mother where she hadn't talked to her in almost 2 years.
Yeah, just at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Right.
And after that, you good? Okay. Well, then don't talk to her again until 2 years later.
I recognize, listen, we know that sometimes no one can choose who their parents are or how their parents are.
No.
Got that.
No.
But there's still, and for me, at least the way I look at it, there's still at least some checking in periodically just to say,
every 6 months, like, you still alive?
Hey.
You sick?
Something, right?
A text. But I get when you're to the point where you're so fed up and you feel like you're not getting any resolution with your family,
right.
You are cut off. But again, how does that affect you, and how does that show up in your relationship? So obviously this is showing up in her relationship as, I don't want to be rejected.
Right.
You know, I'm just going to assume that life's going to go on until I finally make a decision to change it.
Right.
And then when you get to that point, you're so frustrated, you do the extreme.
Right.
Instead of just allowing to start working those things out gradually.
Yeah. So they go to the dress selection. She picks a dress that I think was a great dress.
It was, again, when you find the dress, you know it's the dress, right? And so she told her friends, her close friends, of what she was doing, and they were excited and want to support her. But then the day of, one of her friends was like, he must say that.
Because again, even the friends are like, I've not heard either one of them say marriage.
Right.
So it's not like she's been talking about marriage to them and they don't know how Brandon feels. The friends are saying, you ain't talked about marriage. He ain't talked about marriage. Y'all ain't talked about marriage together. So all of a sudden we're here now.
Right.
She meets with his father. Shayna meets with Brandon's father.
Yeah.
And Brandon's father's like, oh, y'all, he's talking about this man cave. Y'all gonna have to come through with this man cave because he's talking about what he wants in the man cave.
He is talking about this man cave. But again, they're not communicating. So she has to mention it. And now he's excited. He blowing up the dad's phone like, I don't want any flower. I want to make sure this is going to be my place.
Right.
So now you find out that there's been some things that he's desired and has not shared.
Yep.
And so I put, I was kind of taking notes, is that why can't he be vulnerable with her? What is it about her that he can't be truly honest about his feelings in his 7.5 years?
Right. So long story short, they do show up. She comes out with her wedding dress on the street.
Okay, why can't we carry the I'm like...
Yeah, she dragging that on the streets of Houston.
On the concrete.
Yeah.
So tell the women to pick the dress up because you're ruining the dress.
Right.
just dragging it across concrete sidewalk. That just irritates the mess out of me. But he turns around.
He's like, okay, what is this?
You're beautiful. Yeah. You're gorgeous. All right.
She proposes.
He's like, I knew something wasn't right. Because again, he's an engineer.
He's like, yeah, some of the stuff y'all was saying wasn't making sense. Probably that title, Man My Cave. That's the first thing that probably wasn't making sense. And he says yes. And then she's like, okay, we go into the wedding now. He's like, wait, what?
Who get married? Who's wedding we going
to? Where?
Who's about to get married?
So you can see in his face, he's like a deer in the headlights. He's just like, okay, yeah.
Where are we walking to?
So they're walking down the sidewalk, and she's telling random people, he said yes. And they're like,
what?
I don't care.
It's none of my business.
Y'all keep moving. So they get to the chapel, all the family's there, and then we find out that Brandon's like, hey, can I go talk to her? Because we need to have some conversations.
We need to have a conversation.
And he sits with her and he's like, listen, I love you. You're beautiful. You look amazing. I don't want you to be mad, but can we do this a different time? Because this feels forced. This feels rushed. There's some things that I wanted in this. There are also some people that I wanted here.
Right. That you didn't know about.
Right.
So there's some close people that I would want to have at my wedding, and you have no clue who it is.
Right.
Red flag.
Yes. So you would think. So
she's like,
go ahead.
Okay. Oh, wow. What friends? Who do you want here that's not here? I got majority of your family here. My mom's here. And you know how much that took me to get her here. I got everything planned. And you don't want to do this now? No. I do want to do it. I just don't want to do it
now.
Right now. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. And then here comes our relationship life coach comes in, and she goes, okay, guys. So what I'm hearing, Brandon, okay. So y'all don't want to do it today.
Well, because he also says this. One other thing he said, it doesn't feel like our special day. It doesn't feel like our special day. So all of the things he's saying is not that he doesn't want to get married to her. He's saying this production, this day, this whole setup feels forced, feels rushed, and it's not our day.
Right.
It's Own's day, basically.
It's Own's day.
So I haven't researched this woman, what have you, but this life coach, relationship coach, what have you, Rachel, I think is her name, basically starts saying that his excuses are lame.
Well, not immediately. She's somebody has to go and tell the family. We got family sitting out there.
How are you going to do this so that it doesn't fall in Shayna's lap? Yeah.
I said, woo, woo, woo.
Shayna started this. Woo. Shayna can finish it. Shayna put all this together. Shayna can wrap this up.
So who's going? And Shayna's like, I'm not doing it because I want this to happen. I set an expectation of this that I've never discussed with him. I set an expectation that I wanted to get married that I never discussed with him. I set the expectation that all this time I've been waiting in secret and never shared it. And now I can't hold it anymore. So I'm taking all the matters in my hands and I want him to conform to what I want right here and now.
So Brandon, I'm going to say this, Brandon, you're a better man than me. Because I sure enough would have looked at him and been like, you going to go tell your family and my family? You told them all this 3 days. And by the way, where's my man cave? Where's my pool table? Where's my TV? Where's my recliner? Where's my little mini fridge? Where's my man cave? You got all this worked out. You go tell your family, tell them what's happening here. Because, again, they're putting it on him like it's his fault.
It's his fault that he's saying no. And again, when he's saying, I want to be a part of this experience.
Right.
I believe both are responsible for why they're in this issue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I believe. So what should have occurred, because if Shayna was listening, that it wasn't just, it was going to happen, but it wasn't going to happen today.
Right.
And that he wanted to be a part of the experience.
Right.
And it needed to wait.
Right.
Now she's like, well, it was 7.5 years, but you never mentioned it. You didn't discuss it with a person who first of all is...
He's a contemplator. He's a thinker.
He's a contemplator and thinker, but also... he's a person that is not being vulnerable and telling what his needs were. Mm-hmm. So they did have some things that they needed to be balanced where that they weren't balanced in their 7 years of a relationship.
Exactly. Agreed.
So I would have went with him because just as much as I loved him enough to marry him and I made all of this happen, if it's not happening and he's saying, we're going to do this together and we're going to get married, I'm going to support you because I love you. And what I started, and
hold on, wait. But you can't support me in a mess you created.
But because he said yes, he was going.
Okay.
I'm basing off of what he decided to do.
I got you.
I'm not going to leave him out there by himself because he's doing something that I should do. And since I'm not going to finish it, and he says, I'll take care of it. Well, I'm not going to let you take care of it on your own. Same opposite. If she said, okay, I'll go in there because I started it. He should say, I'm going to go in there and back you up, that I love you, and that we're doing this together and we're going to reschedule it. I'm just saying.
I'd have been like, let me know how that goes.
Shut up. You at least go in there with me.
Let me know.
You started this.
Y'all roll the cameras. I want to see how this goes. Because I'm going to sit back
Where the monitor?
I'm going to sit back here in this little reception area. I'm going to sip on my little tea, my little crumpets, whatever.
Where the monitor?
You go handle that thing.
Rest of the
you started it, you finish it.
Oh my God. But, so he goes. He goes and talks to the family. They clapping like, no.
Like, no. Nope. Clapping.
Stop clapping. I love her. This is all beautiful and all.
We're not doing this today.
We're not doing it today. Not that I don't want to marry her.
Again, his language is clear.
He's
on
like,
this portion.
Not today. I do want to marry her, but not today. Thank you. Have a good day. I don't know what y'all doing after this, but I'm leaving.
In fact, y'all ain't got to leave. Y'all ain't even got to go home. I'm gone. I'll see y'all later.
I'll see y'all later. So this is the kicker. So he's leaving. And she's boo-hooing. And here comes the relationship coach.
The relationship coach. Because I got issues with her. I'm sorry.
And why do you have her?
Because she's like, you're not the problem. His excuses are lame. This is on him. No, y'all gassed this woman's head up. Y'all made her, this is wonderful. You deserve this. Listen. We don't know what this, granted, we don't know her. We don't know what this woman deserves and doesn't deserve, but no one deserves to spring something on someone and expect them to kowtow, bow down to their wishes. And then when they don't do that, that all of a sudden they're the ones that there's no problems with. It's all on the other person. He has his own issues, his own things to deal with as far as how this, and we've talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But as far as him basically saying, not right now. That's not his issue. That's an issue that he recognizes within the entire relationship.
And I think we've mentioned this in other videos and other types of relationship shows. I'm talking to every single, male or female, or if you're in a committed relationship, you have to communicate. At all times.
Yes.
Even if your desires change.
Right.
And those conversations can be hard, because now you have a want that you originally didn't want.
Right.
But you have to say, like, as a person, you grow and you mature. And when you have to tell somebody, you know what I desired at the beginning of our relationship, I don't desire that anymore. Yeah. Or I have a new desire for our relationships. How are we going to work through it together? Because now we're committed. We're in a relationship. If you're not married, then that might mean that, well, even if you're married, sometimes that might mean that you may go separate ways, because if the person decides...
Or the other person's just not as involved in it as you may want them to be.
Right. That you have to make some real decisions.
Right.
And so, but when you don't communicate, then you have these high expectations.
Right.
Where you're so disappointed and let down to the point they're not even together no more.
Yeah.
They're together, but they're not together. They had to make so much space. She's in Austin and he's still in Houston. And they're going, how do you go to couples counseling in separate states?
The same way you proposed to somebody after 7.5 years and you never talked about marriage. It don't make no sense.
And my thing is, I would wish that when she saw the video again, she heard with her ears. He did say yes. He could have said, no, I don't want to marry you.
Right.
He said yes.
As far as what we saw, and again, we recognize there's editing, what have you. As far as what we saw, he did not hesitate really to say yes to getting married.
Correct.
The issue for him seems to be
the timing,
the now portion.
Which is being involved.
And this is the thing that is going to be, if we're honest, this is the drama portion of this show, is that it is the now portion. For a lot of these couples, the issue may not be about getting married, even though, in my opinion, it's like you have these conversations before. And I'm sorry, as a man, if I know that I want to be married to you, we figuring that out.
Right.
And if there's some red flags that I see and I don't want to get married to you, I don't want to put a ring on it. We got that other series that we do, so y'all need to check that out. But if I don't want to put a ring on it and I don't want to marry you, period, these are conversations we're having before it gets to, we're going to be on Man My Cave to do this.
Or let's be honest, why are we living together? Because you have to make a decision before you live together. Like, look, I'm letting you know now, I don't want to get married.
Right.
You know, we can share the same house. Some people decide we can have kids.
Cut down bills. Yep.
But I never want to get married. You cannot force anyone to want to get married to you.
Right.
But let me make that decision.
Yep.
Don't string me along thinking those are possibilities, and those are not going to be possibilities. But you guys, she set up all this in her head, and she's like, well, why didn't you do it in 7 years? Well, he didn't think.
Y'all didn't have a conversation.
There was no conversation.
Y'all didn't talk about it.
And then the person that you decided to be with, he just goes along on the ride and never decides to stand up for himself, which could be an issue. But again, why couldn't he ever be vulnerable with you?
Right.
But that's...
All right, well, listen. So that's this show. Listen, we're gonna keep watching it. Y'all let us know what you think. I know some of y'all in the comments was like, it's weird. It don't... Listen, we there with you. The first one seemed like, This episode was like, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you play around and do, in my opinion, unbright things, right?
Well, and that they feel like a man doesn't want to be involved when you're talking about getting married.
Right.
I think it was really one-sided of only one person, her desire, and not taking his desire of being a part of a special day.
Right.
They do think it's
because
men do feel like it's
and we've kind of said this before, and we're going to wrap this up, but we've said this before that a marriage is more than just the one-day event. Mm-hmm. And I think the false expectation or the false thing that's set up by this show and other shows like this one is that it's all about that special day and not about the work that happens afterwards.
And before it.
Before and after, right? Mm-hmm. Because, this relationship coach does not, in my opinion, help them do any of the work to navigate through what's going to be helpful, getting down the aisle and then afterwards. Asking questions and then not really giving any feedback or any response doesn't do that. And in my opinion, that's not that's not even a coach.
Well, a coach, right, is supposed to give the play.
Right. She's not giving the game plan. she's a glorified coordinator. She's a glorified wedding coordinator.
Ooh.
Sorry. That's really what she is. She's a glorified wedding coordinator who basically helps to put together the pieces for a shotgun wedding. She's not doing anything to help these folks to navigate through she asks questions about why they haven't, but there's nothing to say, have you thought about why this might not be the right time? Are you sure that this is going to be? She asks the questions, yes, for the camera. What do you think his response is going to be? But you're not giving any feedback to say, this is why you might want to wait on this. She's not coaching, she's coordinating. Coordinate. All right. So listen, I'm about to step off my soapbox because I'm about to get riled up again because this one, yeah. All right, listen, that's it for this commentary. Make sure you check out the other shows that we do. Our production schedule is like through the roof right now. So definitely we'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Peace.